David, are you
You
there?
working?
You are
I'm here.
working, my friend. How are you doing?
Thanks. I'm doing good. How are you?
I am great. I'm so glad to have you here on the show, man.
Thank you. I'm glad to
Wherever
be
you
here.
are, wherever you are,
Thanks to
looks
all the
sunny and
fans.
beautiful.
It is. I'm in Los Angeles and the Valley.
It's freaking gorgeous, man. I mean, your career. I mean, there's so much stuff I want to talk to you about. To try to cram it into 30 minutes would be just
Sure.
an absolute exercise in futility. So we'll just kind of hang out and chat a little bit. But I don't want to
Yeah.
bury the lead. Like, you don't get David Arquette this week in this place and not talk about a very special announcement that was made. I'd say about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Scream 5. Scream
Yes.
5 is
Scream
happening,
5.
eh?
It is happening.
It's a real
That's about
thing.
all I can say.
Oh, no.
I don't know anything else, and we're kind of sworn to secrecy. The contract's very scary. the
Really?
The contract is potentially more scary than Ghostface.
Well, I want to talk a little. Well, let's talk a little bit about just sort of the whole Scream franchise. Let's talk about Scream 4 then. And
Yes.
maybe it'll lean into Scream 5. I don't know. Whatever
Yeah.
you might know. But Scream 4, I mean, obviously was Wes Craven's final film, final
Mm.
directorial film. If you're the directors
Yeah.
of Scream 5, man, what huge shoes they got to fill.
Yeah. Absolutely. But
I mean,
I think it's incredible to carry on Wes's legacy. I want to see his work celebrated for eternity. I think he's just such a genius and such a kind human being. He's such a mentor to me, and helped me incredible. Like I don't know if I'd be alive today for Wes. I mean, especially not in the Scream film, but just in general, he gave me a lot of like fatherly advice and directorial advice when I did my first film. He's just such a kind person. I can't speak higher of him. There's few people in your life who you meet. I met like Paul Rubens, Quincy Jones, Wes Craven, Ben DeBaldo, my high school drama teacher. You know, certain people that just make such an impression on you.
is there any one particular moment you can share? I just thought of something I want to go back on, but I mean, any one particular moment of mentorship on the set of Scream with Mr. Craven that you could share with our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, you know, during Scream 2, my mother was dying. I was going through a really hard time, and Courtney and I were on the rocks, and he just kind of sat me down and gave me like a man to man talk where he was just saying, David, you know, I know you're going through such a hard time, and shared some of his experience and said, but I think you got to get your stuff together and make it work with Courtney because she really loves you, and you know, it's just a sweet thing. You know, my dad died shortly after my mom, and he was still there and helping, especially when you know, when it had anything to do with sort of directing or stuff like that. He was always there.
That sounds awesome. Well, you mentioned in passing just a second ago that your character in Scream, Dewey, would not have survived if it weren't for Wes Craven. People don't realize this. You were supposed to croak in Scream #1. Am I wrong?
That's right. Yeah, he threw me. He was like, I was there on the set, which is a pro move, by the way. Just if you're not in the scene, it's the final scene of a horror film, and there was a big massacre where you did die or potentially died, just show up on the set. Just sort of be there in costume. No, I think he called for me to be there, but he said, "Well, you know what, David? We're just gonna throw you in this one of these ambulances when it's coming out, and you know, maybe the audience won't know. Did he die? Did he not die?" I was like, "Oh, thank you, Wes." I can't think, you know, they get all bloodied up. They put me in this thing and wheel me out. He says, "All right, let's do one more take, and you know, not leave it quite as much of a question. Just kind of hold your hand up for something as you're going out. Just, I'm all right, folks." And then I did, and that's the one he used, and they brought me back. And you know, not a lot of films you do. You end up at the end of the whole thing with a 16-year-old daughter.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the kind of coolest thing about you know, when life and art. And plus, my wife now is a former entertainment reporter for Entertainment Tonight. So I'm kind of, if I just shaved up and maybe found a small town to be the deputy,
Just life imitating art at its finest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Wes Craven, for that. I mean, going all the way back to Scream, yeah, there's tons of stuff I want to talk about, but I mean, the massive success that Scream One had on your career. I mean, can you put that into words? Because I mean, before that, you were obviously a very well-known name in the fandom community with Benny and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Your role in Airheads, which I want to talk about in a little bit, but it was Scream that really just like made you a household name. How can you put into words sort of the emphasis, that role had on your career?
I think it definitely got to my head by the time we were like going to do the premiere in London, because for some reason, like I think it was Scream One, but the Friends whole cast was in London as well. They were filming there. They were doing like a couple episodes or something. So they had the premiere there, and I was gonna wear this completely see-through, like plexiglass. Do you know those old vans on old like murder vans, like the Psycho 70s vans? The back windows, sometimes they'd have these like decals that were like these see-through kind of. They were 3D, but they'd like make it like a little mirror or something. I
Sure.
don't know if you could kind of picture this spiral see-through thing. So I'm forgetting entirely what I'm talking about. But what was I talking about?
The boom of success after Scream One and going to the
Yeah.
awards
So
wearing
yeah,
a van. If I'm
that's
hearing you
that
correctly,
material is what these pants and shirt were made of. It was insane. They were. I put it on and I got all sweaty underneath, and I walked in to Courtney and Jennifer and I said, "Do you guys? Is this too crazy?" And I can't tell you, Jennifer, you I cannot be serious right now. You cannot think you're going out in public. Like, where did you get that? What is that?
you're like,
It was,
what?
yeah,
What?
yeah. I was off my rocker. So yeah, it changes everything. You have to be really careful with success. It can or like celebrity. It can really mess with your head, and you do crazy stuff. At least I do. I don't know.
David, you're awesome,
that was a
man.
weird story, but I wanted
Dude,
to share it.
you're awesome, man. I love you to death,
Thanks.
dude. You're so great. I was so excited when you agreed to do Mainframe Comic Con. But people, I mean, going back to Scream, man, people don't realize, people who weren't there when it came out, there was quite a lull in the horror genre pre-Scream, and then this movie comes out, written and directed by Wes Craven. It is a total throwback to the 70s and 80s slasher films, but done just insanely updated. What do you think? I mean, because you're a big horror guy. I mean, do you think Scream has got just this massive impact on where we're at now with horror movies?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, Kevin Williamson, his script was so just everything was on the page. You know what I mean? None of the other Screams after that had a complete script at the start. So the way he really constructed that one and the way Wes sort of brought it all together was really brilliant and really did changed it in a way, like the whole meta thing where people you're aware, like the world is aware of the world of cinema is interesting. And I don't know, just kind of I love Comic-Con, Mainframe Comic-Con, because you guys sort of understand all these different genres and all these different tracks. And I love how fans, so I've been wrestling for the past few years, and I did the movie Ready to Rumble, but I also like did Howard Stern, and I do horror movies like this. All of these fan groups, there's like crossover within them. So I don't know, it's really fun to start playing with that and seeing what is my fan base really? You know what I mean? Like how wide is it? I mean, I know I got an older woman fan base too.
I mean, yours is insanely wide. I mean, if you look at your IMDb, you got 139 acting credits, 146 separate credits. They're just David Arquette as David Arquette. I mean, you churn out like 10 projects a year. It's madness. How do you find the time?
Oh man, being an actor and just like just it's really hard. My dad was a sort of a character actor, I guess you'd say. for 45 years, I just saw him struggle, and there's a lot of rejection in acting, and there's all these roller coasters too, and you have to really kind of have a huge heart and not take stuff personally to make it through all this stuff, and it's kind of impossible. It's why I try to do other things like produce stuff, or I have my nightclub Bootsy Bellows, and we're doing different. We have started a documentary company called XTR with Bryn Mooser, and you have to do different things, because if you just wait around for parts or you audition, I'm not a great auditioner, so I typically get stuff either from past work or having worked with someone else or whatever, they saw me something.
Do you really? Do you even have to audition for things anymore? I mean, you're David Arquette, man.
All auditions, not
really?
For Scream, thank goodness.
They're not going to recast the role of Dewey.
My friend who does the voice on Rugrats had auditions for her old role, so I don't know.
That's hilarious. Well, we got something from Asian Funk Comics. Good question, Asian Funk. Like, oh no, he said wear that to the premiere. he's harkening back to your outfit. Never mind.
Oh,
so pretty buddy.
I'll wear my cloud shirt and my weird quarantine beard.
Yeah, wear your van window get up. So I want to read.
Oh, nice. Oh God, yeah, that thing's retired.
So you talk about the fandom and your fandom community. Obviously, I mean, we were just talking about you've got this huge following. But I mean, I want to read a couple of horror quotes that I came across. A couple of David Arquette horror quotes. I thought I'd read them to you and see if you could expound on them just a tad. One time you wrote, "I can relate more to people at a horror convention than I can most Hollywood executives. They're more passionate." What do you think about that comment? Like, can you expound on that a tad?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of I don't know. I hate to generalize or anything, but you never know how an executive gets to their place. And creatives are a different breed. And I find that a lot of the fans are actually more on the creative side and understand story and really take it to heart. And on a level that I can't even grasp. I need like a director to walk me through, a writer to really explain some of the, just the structure and history and the future, what the series is going to do. So I don't know. I think there should be more companies that kind of do some sort of fan development.
Yeah.
I mean, let them pick the stuff. It's so
well. It's funny because we just saw that with. I think I might have lost you. There he is. It's just we just saw that with Sonic the Hedgehog, man, where the fans kind of drive the boat a little bit. Sonic came out.
Right.
The fans didn't like the way it looked. They petitioned and then they rewrote the movie. So that it doesn't happen often, but sometimes the execs do listen to what the fans want.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's the whole kind of game. I mean, I try to do stuff that I enjoy and I think's good, and I think fans will enjoy. But you don't always know, and you don't always know when the pieces come together if it's going to be quality project or something that's just kind of waiting to finish it with the honor.
Well, speaking of fans, we got a lot of comments I'm going to try to get through. This, I believe, I'm going to read this far away. It comes from Agile Bear. 20 years. Spoiler alert. Were you mad that they made you the killer in Scary Movie?
No. I'd always kind of wanted to be the killer. I think it's fun to sort of play a killer. Although I played a killer a couple of times. You go to real dark places. You have to think about really horrible stuff. I don't know. I feel like I'm getting older. I just want to do kind of really fun, silly stuff, like really like light and just cheer up the world rather than sort of.
That's so funny.
I'm getting over darkness.
We just had Jeff Garland on a few minutes ago, and he said something very, very similar to that. He just said, I choose projects based on joy and happiness more now than I do with money in my old age. It's like, am I going to do something that's going to make me a happier person, or am I going to do something just for the buck?
Right. Yeah, well, that's sort of the whole indie world game. I mean, I have a few like really movies that I'm really proud of. A movie called Mope coming out soon. That's really incredible. A movie called The Miseducation of Bindu. A movie called Dr. Bird's Advice to Sad Poets. these are just a few examples of like really sweet small films. You don't do them for the money, you do them for the heart and for the project and for the directors and for the sort of team. And it's really fun when it pays off and you have some beautiful piece of art you're a part of, you know.
Well, we got a ton of people that want to ask you about your wrestling career because a lot of people might not know that. You know, fans of your movies may not know what a huge wrestling buff you are. BA in the house writes, "Who was your first and favorite wrestler you remember meeting?"
Ooh, Andre the Giant, and I just met him by tapping his back, but I saw him at the LA Sports Arena, and it just sort of changed my brain about like how what a crazy world. Although I was a huge Hulk maniac, so even though I just couldn't help myself that I wanted to touch the giant, so that had a huge impact on me. So just so people know, I did a documentary that sort of you know followed me for the past 3 years in wrestling and the independent circuit because I did a movie called Ready to Rumble 20 years ago. And to promote it, they had made me the WCW champion, and everybody got really upset about that. So for 20 years, I've kind of been the butt of all the jokes, and I wanted to go back and sort of prove myself. And through the experience, I had this crazy journey that everyone could go on coming in August, hopefully. It's being released by a company called Super Limited. It's the boutique brand below Neon. So it's a really great group that we're really excited to be a part of.
Well, Captain J10 asks very appropriately, Ready to Rumble sequel or a reboot?
I would love to. Me and Liv from WWE were joking on like Twitter. I'd say I'd play your dad. You can come back as my son. I mean my daughter. What do I think? And you know that could be the sequel. But you know, I couldn't even get Scott Conn to be in my wrestling documentary, so I don't know if he'd do it. I would love to see Oliver Platt come back as Jimmy King. I don't know. That would be hilarious. I think people have caught up to like the silliness, like the tone in which that film was made. Because when it first came out, people were kind of like, but it sort of, I think it grew an audience.
Well, let's see what you think about this. Angel Bear is right back. Said, if you could only save one of them from Ghostface, Gail or Sydney, which one would you save? And which one's gonna bite the dust?
It would have to be Gail. I'm sorry.
I mean, obviously, right?
Sydney. I mean, obviously, just because like when she's not Gail, she's Courtney Cox, and she's the mother of my 16-year-old daughter. So I don't know. Just does that have an impact on the fictional character's decision?
Well, here we go.
No, I don't know. But if it was Dewey, I think it. I don't know. If it were Dewey making the decision, probably be Nev. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I saw that
Nev's like his little sister, and he'd want to protect her like he didn't his sister.
I saw Nev's rumored on IMDb for Scream 5. I know you can't talk about it, but wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah. Wouldn't that be great? Just imagine a world.
If I weren't in jail for saying something.
Right. Yeah, no, we're not. I don't want you to trip up any non-disclosure. But I want to talk to you a little bit about documentaries, because you do that one documentary, You Can't Kill David Arquette. What can you tell people about this award-winning documentary?
Oh yeah, it did win an award.
It won an award.
Editing in South by Southwest, although the festival's canceled this year, but that was really exciting. Parallax is an incredible company, and David Darg, the director, with James Price, an editor. So let me see. What can I tell you? It's sort of a journey to redemption. I'm trying to sort of clear my name, but really, honestly, it's a love letter to wrestling. I'd always loved wrestling, and I lost touch with it for a long time. Then I read Ready to Rumble, and like 6 pages in, Macho Man Randy Savage. I said, wait, am I going to be able to have be in a scene with Macho Man Randy Savage? And I just totally became a kid again, and then fell back in love with it, and then got involved in it, and then they hated me, and then I had this like hidden relationship with it. Watch it secretly, or I'd get mad at it and not watch it for a while. But so I wanted to be able to love wrestling again and sort of embrace it. And and there were some people that were coming up that were kind of more my size than they used to be. Like it used to just be sort of giants. So now there are people more my size, even being champions. So it wouldn't be so crazy. And I always wanted to learn. And I had sort of some health issues, so I had to lose a bunch of weight. And I knew. And when I was going through this health issue moment, I was like, sort of like, I could die. I mean, there was a chance of like, something bad could happen. And I'm thinking about wrestling. I'm like, I thought, I've had a good life. My wife loves me. My kids love me. I don't really have any enemies. I love my friends and family. So I mean, had a successful life or whatever. But what about that wrestling? I was like, why am I thinking about wrestling?
How much is
like
enough, David?
Time in my life. And then so when I had to lose weight and everything, I just got the idea to film it and sort of train and really sort of just try to prove myself. Wow. I didn't want people to bully me. I didn't want them to write the ending to the story. I kind of got framed as this like wuss actor, and I was like, well, that's not really who I am anyway.
Yeah, well, we got another question from a super fan here, Joshua Palace. He writes, David, super huge fan. You are brilliant in the gray zone. What do you find more challenging, intense drama or comedy, which you are infinitely great at both?
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. I love doing the gray zone. That was a really incredible film. Tim Blake Nelson is an amazing actor and director, and he directed that and wrote it, and gave me an opportunity because, I mean, I got to work with Harvey Keitel and Steve Buscemi, just incredible actors. Mira Sorvino, and I just like kind of I don't know. It was really fun. It was really hard though. You read so many like Holocaust kind of books, and Man's Search for Meaning is an incredible book that I read during that time period. But I don't know. I love doing comedy. I like laughing. I like, my whole goal after this is work with people I love, do things that I think the fans will really enjoy and have fun with and can laugh at. And I don't know, just work with people. I love.
We got another question from Cindy Heyer, who writes, what inspired you to do The Tripper?
Well, I'd always loved horror movies. I mean, some of my earliest memories were like seeing Halloween for the first time and Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'd always watched like Wes when he'd do his stuff, and I'd always wanted to direct. I'd always sort of done little things. So, it was inspired by like when I was a kid, sort of when Reagan was president. Over like the course of a week, like homeless people were everywhere, like crazy people like you'd never seen like this before. And I don't mean to say crazy people, but as a kid, that's what I was like, what's going on? And he literally opened up a bunch of insane asylums. I guess that's probably a bad term now, but mental hospitals and let people out on the streets without any help or any protection. So that always stuck with me. And then I don't know. I like the idea of political satire in a horror film. I don't know, and like a slasher B movie, like really do like all the exploitation, but then also use it for like a political satire, but not really take a side. Just make it like this whole world's crazy anyway.
Well, I think we got time for one more question, and this one comes from me, and this one comes from the heart, and I want you to dig deep in your soul for this one. Who came up with the idea for the Clydesdale scale? And where'd that come from? For those of you, and explain to the Clydesdale scale if you don't mind to some people.
I'm not even sure what the Clydesdale scale is anymore. I remember it was in the script. I didn't make that up. So somebody threw it at me.
So somebody was smoking when they were writing the script to Airheads.
Oh, the script to Airheads was really like the last of like these kind of films where they used to do them a lot more. I mean, now groups of them do them, like Adam Sandler's group does them, or certain groups do them, but they don't do them like they used to. And it used to just sort of bring all these amazingly fun comedic actors all together, and then you're just sitting there for a good month or two, just like locked up in a room, just cracking jokes. It was just kind of funny. One of my first lines was, it was like, "You guys are all crazy and shit." Is what
Yeah.
the
You guys
line
are all
was.
woohoo and shit.
Yeah. So that's when I turned it in. I was like, I think it'd be funny if you could hardly understand what this guy's saying. I'm always like, because I'm a mumbler anyway. I'm just mumble, so I always try to find something interesting in someone's voice or whatever their like personality that'll bring some kind of weird speech pattern out.
Awesome. Well, David, we can't thank you enough for coming here on Mainframe Comic Con 2.0, or as we like to call it, Mainframe 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
Next time we have this, man, you gotta
Shout
come
out
on.
to Boogaloo Shrimp.
I barely scratched the surface of the questions I want to talk to you. So thanks so much for being here. Where can people find you if they want more information?
Just at David Arquette on Twitter and Instagram. I don't know what else.
Awesome, guys. Well, find David online. He is awesome. This was the funnest time I've had this whole time, man.
Thanks, guys.
So you're all woohoo and shit.
Yeah, you're crazy, bro.
All right, David.